Thanks for logging on to newsnet5.com. A little web extra for you here as we go through the transition from the Lerners to the Haslam family when it comes to the Cleveland Browns. And we bring in the coach, Coach Sam Rutigliano. Always a pleasure to talk to you.
Good to be here, Andy.
All right, so you know the Haslam family a little bit. You played football at Tennessee with Jimmy's dad, James Haslam, the second. Jimmy's the third. So what was he like, and what do you know about this family?
Well, you know, in 1951, I was a freshman at the University of Tennessee. Jim Haslam played left tackle on a single-wing team that won the national championship. And I really never was able to kind of reconnect with him. But I had a kid that I coached in NFL Europe whose father was a judge, Neil Thomas, in Chattanooga, Tennessee, who knew the Haslams very well, especially the young guy who became the governor. Well, if his son is anything like his dad, and I got to believe that he is, because he took over that unbelievable business that Jim Haslam, #1, started, that he's going to come in here. He is not going to micromanage anything. He's going to, you know, it's kind of like I told you once before, he's going to put all his eggs in one basket, played $1 billion, but he's going to watch the eggs, I'll guarantee you. It's going to be different, and I think that it's the best for Randy Lerner, but I think it's the best for this town to finally have leadership. Everything rises and falls on leadership. It's the law of navigation. Any guy can steer a ship, but it takes a leader to chart the course. And I think this guy is going to do it. I don't care what else happens. This guy leaves, that guy leaves. We finally have it where it belongs, on top. And he's been to Pittsburgh, so he has a great model.
All right, there's so many questions that I could ask you about here. First, let's talk about Mike Holmgren, because it looks like Joe Banner's coming in, too, from Philadelphia.
Well, if I were Mike Holmgren, I wouldn't be too terribly upset. I've been here for 3 years. I'm now making $8 million a year, and I'm sure there will be some type of settlement, and he'll leave here. I'm sure he was a very wealthy man when he came. He'll be even a wealthier man when he leaves. Because I don't think that Mike is going to stay here if Joe Banner is going to be here, because really it's going to get in the way. The only thing that, you know, I don't want to get into it, but you guys love to get into it, is that, you know, how is Heckert going to, how's Shermer, how's Nolan Cromwell, how's all those guys that he hired, the president that he hired to handle the business end of it from Miami. He hired a lot of people from the inside. So if he leaves, he's going to be okay. What about them?
Yeah, like well, you look at the business side, Brian Wiedemeyer, who runs the business operation for the Browns. You know, it's not, when you bring in a president, and Mike Holmgren knows this, remember he came in, he said, I'll sell popcorn, I'll sell sweets, I'll do whatever it takes. But, you know, we're spending a lot of time talking about the football operation, but the business operation here for the Browns is just as big. And you know, we always talk about what's going on the field, but on the other side, there's some things that probably have to get handled,
well, you know,
too.
If you want to have a successful organization, you know, you just can't have, you know, the head coach and the general manager and in this case a president like Mike Holmgren. You have to have it in every aspect of the organization. Has to be together, moving on together. And you know, when you look at a president and a general manager and a head coach that has been here for 14 years, none of them, Andy, made it for 4 years. None of them lasted for 4 years. So, you know, consistency confirms authenticity. Pittsburgh, you know, they had 2 coaches for 39 years. They won 471 games, and I think they went to 6 Super Bowls. And it didn't change that much with Mike Tomlin. And that's what we have to have. And it has to come to the top, because if you didn't like Bob Modell, that's, I liked him. But I'll tell you something that he did. He made everybody accountable. He was there at the cash register like he owned Corky and Lenny's, and he was watching all those eggs.
Oh, Coach, way to go. All right, so what does this mean for Browns fans? As we move forward, we're going into, you know, the hard part about this is, and I don't think the players should care, because for them, the only thing that really changes, if you're a good player, the name on the bottom of the check changes. That's about it. But for the players, you know, you've got to have a little bit of loyalty probably to the general manager that drafted you or brought you in as a free agent. You're kind of like, well, I wonder if I'm a Holmgren guy. I think from a fan's perspective, the one thing I think nobody wants to see is a complete overhaul from top to bottom, because we've lived through too many.
Yeah, I think that the thing that's going to happen now is to see how Mike Holmgren responds to Banner. in terms of what does Mike do now and what does Banner do right now. And you'll see now the leadership that Jim Haslam III is going to bring to this, because you're right. I mean, all these guys know Mike Holmgren. A lot of them were with him during his career, especially at Green Bay and especially at Seattle. And right now, even though people say, well, it won't be disruptive, it will be disruptive, you know, because it's going to be interesting to see how the James Haslam III handles all these things we're talking about right now, because it could affect, because, you know, as far as Tom Heckert, if he feels comfortable with this, and he's done a pretty decent job since he's been here, and for Pat Shermer, is just win, baby. If he wins, he's going to stay.
You know, the interesting thing about this whole thing is we probably would be talking about Colt McCoy and Brandon Weeden every day if it wasn't for this sale. So yeah, those guys are probably happy.
This is Cleveland. But one good thing about it for all you guys out there, we have finally beaten Pittsburgh with something.
Thank you. Coach Sam, thanks for watching. We'll see him on Sunday nights throughout the season when the Browns play, along with Reggie Rucker and Andre Knott as well. Coach Sam, thank you very much.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, too. Thanks for watching News.